The Falcons beat the Cowboys 27-21, and right before the NFL trade deadline, what do you know? The Falcons pass rush wakes up. They sacked Dak Prescott 3 times. They only had 6 sacks on the entire season coming into Sunday, but it was a Caden Ellis masterclass today, as I think the score looks a lot closer than the way most of this game felt. The Falcons offense was pretty much in control of this game. Drake London did suffer a hip injury after hauling in a touchdown pass early in the game. He would not return, but I'm not overly concerned. Unfortunately, Raheem Morris did not have an update for him or on Grady Jarrett, but London was working on the bikes. He didn't look injured when he got up, so hopefully it's a little bit more of a precautionary thing than something that's uberly serious, but still, fingers crossed everything is fine with number 5. But yeah, Darnell Mooney and Ray McCloud did an excellent job of filling in, and Kirk Cousins, once again, nonchalantly, 3 touchdowns. I mean, he makes it look so easy, honestly. 222 yards. He was 19 of 24. He was accurate all day long. He at one point completed 13, 14 passes in a row. And then Darnell Mooney showed, hey, no London, no problem. 5 grabs, 88 yards, and 1 touchdown on a busted play. Cowboys fans have to be in absolute shambles. I mean, the Falcons played well today. They could have played better. There are some things that we'll talk about that I'd like to see them improve on going into the second half of the season. But they picked up 3 sacks, so I'm not going to be overly critical of this defense. But still, the Cowboys, especially Mike McCarthy, I mean, you use a jet sweep. When did jet sweeps ever work, by the way? On CeeDee Lamb on 4th down. And then that wasn't even the worst 4th down play call. They do a Pat Anger fake punt, and it had no chance whatsoever. So, yeah, the Cowboys helped the Falcons out at times. And if you look at the score, you'll think the Cowboys only came away with a 6-point loss. But that was after a garbage time Cooper Rush touchdown. This game was really in somewhat ease for Atlanta, I think, personally, from start to finish, which I think speaks to a lot of the talent on this team, that even in a 6-point game, it felt like they were in control from start to finish, and that I was never worried about the Cowboys making a real game out of this. But I do hold this team to high standards, because if you're going to be more than just a playoff appearance, but a playoff winning team, there are some areas that need to get tightened up for the Falcons. The secondary at times today was getting picked on and exploited. CeeDee Lamb suffered a shoulder injury himself, but I mean, Bijan was running the ball well. For whatever reason, it was not a great special teams day. Like, wasn't the best punts. I know it's kind of a weird thing to highlight, but that was one thing that jumped out to me that I did not think we'd be talking about. But yeah, there are some things that the Falcons definitely need to hone their craft in on. But all in all, they were able to hold the Cowboys to 21 points, which for this defense it's a work in progress. It's a step in the right direction, but I don't think we should be satisfied by any stretch. Robinson continues to just be a highlight reel. I mean, 19 carries for 86 yards might not scream what an awesome day for Robinson, but he also had like 5 catches for 50 or so yards. So, yeah, it was another really strong day from number 7. 7 grabs for 59 yards, excuse me. Now, before we talk about the defense and their resurrection right before the trade deadline, because it was a Caden Ellis masterclass today, I do want to fill everyone in watching right now about our wonderful sponsor that calls Georgia home. That's Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 10 million active members. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. I'm talking turning $10 into $1,000. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. Prize Picks, by the way, invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Now, the Cowboys offense is going to look okay on paper, 378 total yards. Cooper Rush did most of that in garbage time. Give credit to Atlanta's defense. It wasn't making like highlight-worthy plays in terms of takeaways and whatnot, but they were getting off the field. And that's really all I can ask for this week, because that's just a small step in the right direction for a defense that is, unfortunately, I think, limiting this team's capability of being the best versions of themselves. I was a little disappointed, to be honest with you guys, to see how well the Cowboys ran the football. I mean, this was one of the worst run games in the National Football League, and Dak Prescott and the rest of this Cowboys offense was able to run the ball pretty well. I mean, Zeke was a healthy scratch because he was sleeping through meetings. So Rico Dowdle, who's kind of already the starter anyway, he had 12 carries for like 75 yards. Prescott used his legs a bunch as well. But yeah, overall, the Cowboys' run game was better than I would have liked. And I know we're getting nitpicky, but this is a Falcons team that I feel like has a very high ceiling. This is not a Falcons team that everyone thought would be a 4 or 5 win team, and every single win just feels like you're playing with house money. No, I had high expectations for this team. The bar is set high for me, so for that reason, I feel like we should be nitpicky when things like this happen. CeeDee Lamb, 2 carries, 15 yards, but that one was just hysterical. 3-yard loss, which, by the way, all happened because Caden Ellis. Let's talk about Caden Ellis for a moment. I want to read to you guys Caden Ellis' stats because he had himself maybe the best game of the 2024 season. He led the team in tackles with 13. He had a sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 3 quarterback hits. The other guys who got sacks, by the way, Arnold Ebiketie and Grady Jarrett. Speaking of Jarrett, he left the game with an Achilles injury, but he was walking around the locker room and it didn't look too serious, so hopefully he's going to be just fine. No update from Raheem Morris on London or Jarrett, so likely got to wait until that Monday Zoom presser from Morris to get a better idea as to what those guys' statuses are. But all in all, this defense, it made the stops it had to make, especially when there were moments where it looked like, hey, the Cowboys are kind of lingering around this game, and before the offense can put them away, how about the defense makes a stop and gets off the field? They were really good on 3rd down as well. And that was a point where I wanted to see them get better, and they made the Cowboys finish off 3 for 13 on 3rd down and 378 total yards, but a lot of that coming in garbage time. So nothing I'm overly concerned with. But yeah, overall, final thoughts before I let you guys enjoy the rest of this win. I mean, 27-21, it never felt like it was that close. I mean, one of their touchdowns was the luckiest touchdown you'll ever see. How Prescott wasn't sacked on that play, I don't know, but still, his little flip to Dowdle, and it kind of gets hopped around and nearly batted away by D. Alford, and somehow Dowdle comes down with it, laying on his back. One of the craziest touchdowns you'll see this year for an opposing team. But 27-21, like I said, the Falcons have some momentum going into the NFL trade deadline. I'd still like them to be buyers. I'd still like to see them go out and make a trade for a pass rusher, because I don't think 3 sacks against what was a very poor effort, I would put it as, from the Cowboys offensive line should be overly reassuring and reaffirming that, yeah, this team does not need to go out and get a pass rusher. I know they got 3 sacks and they got half of what they had all season long in one game today, but let's not let one game against the Cowboys completely cloud our judgment of the previous 8 weeks this season. That's going to do it for us on our breakdown, recap, and post-game show today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will be back with a watch party next week against the Aints. Did I see the Saints, by the way, had a whole bunch of yards and still lost in Carolina? So that's going to be an extra fun game for the Falcons. But thank you all so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the game, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe down below, and I'll see you all later.